Hello, welcome to 30 Minutes. I'm Rick Anthony. There was a time when parents could send their kids off to school without a care. Not anymore. In communities all over the country, police, teachers, school officials, parents, and students themselves are bracing for the next violent intrusion. It shouldn't be that way, but it is regrettably a part of the new normal, a state of readiness to act or react quickly and decisively if and when a sociopath decides to kill and maim senselessly and at random. Here in Radnor Township, as in many communities across the country, coalitions are forming to guard against the catastrophe in our schools, our churches, and public places. On Wednesday, April the 18th, the Radnor Police Department is hosting an active shooter and safe school symposium from 6:45 until it ends at the municipal building, Radnor Township Municipal Building, and you're all invited. Here today to describe the symposium and to encourage your attendance, whether you have children in school or not, is Radnor Township Deputy Superintendent Chris Flanagan.
Sir.
Thank you, Chris. I know you've got a very busy schedule, as you just indicated, if only because Villanova won, and this whole area is going crazy. I hope it keeps up. You've been on several programs. We've been on several programs together in the past, but I can't imagine that any of the things we've talked about could be more important than the subject of the symposium on April the 18th. What was the origin of it? How far are you along, and how comprehensive is the program?
So following the Sandy Hook tragedy, we actually conducted a symposium. Chief Colarulo felt it was important to meet with the community and have open discussions. Mm-hmm. And following the tragedy in Florida, it was quickly decided that we should do it again, and not only from our own standpoint, but the school district actually asked us to strongly consider having one because they felt there was a positive reflect from the community. When we have honest discussions, we're able to talk and put things into perspective as best we can. Mm-hmm. So with that, we decided to come up with a symposium that will review several different things. One is, what are the capabilities of our police department and what would happen in our surrounding areas? So to do that, we have some subject matter experts. There actually will be a display of some emergency equipment. And I know people are there to talk about the issue, but I think they need to understand that we are prepared for major incident response, not just active shooter. So we'll have some of that high-tech equipment there. There are some questions out of the Florida incident where they talked about communications, and some people have asked here, so we want to explain to them some of the investments that we've made in that. Once you get into the symposium, we have a public school representative. I believe Ken Batchelor from the school district will be attending. We're hoping to have some mental health people. I can't announce exactly who they are. We're waiting for confirmation. Radnor Police representative from the district attorney's office to talk about the law and what's happening. And then we'll have several of our staff who are respectively experts in different fields of investigation, how to do things. We're also hoping to have a federal partner there. And there's two reasons. One is to put into perspective shootings across the United States that apply to multiple injuries and specifically schools or religious institutions. And then two, to really reiterate at the back end of this, what can you do leaving this symposium? And what I will tell you is we will have a small amount of resource materials. You will leave with information. And a particular case study where a community did thwart a school, possibly was a bombing and shooting, and because they were aware of their surroundings, they reported it to authorities, and they were able to thwart an attack. And I think that that is what we want to come away with. We're not selling hopelessness. What we're selling is understanding of what our capabilities are, and what can you do leaving that symposium? You will have information on how to do it. We're also hoping that the mental health community has resources and handouts, because obviously some of these people clearly have mental health issues, and we want to try and be on the forefront of ever having one.
So the format is a panel?
Be a panel discussion with this very small PowerPoint review of where things are in the United States, incidents that may or may not have happened in Radnor Township, and what our protocols are in very generic forms, because for security reasons we're not going to lay out tactics and other things, but we need people to understand that there are resources available, and a major incident would require those responses.
It sounds like, from what you've said, that the real contribution, residents, parents, including parents and so on, is vigilance, just being aware and not taking for granted some of the anomalies that occur in another set of circumstances we wouldn't think anything of them. But an individual, a car, something that doesn't look right should be reported. Is that what you're trying to do? Turn that up, level of awareness?
It's a very important point because I know that there's people who want to see bulletproof glass, they want to see armed officers. All of those are things that may and should be considered. But what we want to do is also tell the community how important they are in actually preventing that from even happening. So there's several rumors about the Florida one. We need to see an after action report, an AAR, where they'll review what happened, what went on. But if allegedly neighbors and other people allege that they saw patterns of very specific concerning behavior, we want to teach people and encourage them what to look for, how to call the police, which really is just 911, but it can get more elaborate, so that we can hopefully intercept and avoid these incidents in entirety.
But how do you deal with the natural reluctance of anyone, a normal individual? Reluctance, one, to get involved, two, to somehow insinuate themselves into the lives of other people, and risk possible retribution. You know what I'm talking about. How do you get people to take that risk?
Well, I believe there is a strong resolve in this community and this country. I don't think people will tolerate it. And I know that people have it in them to see something and say something. Many of these things can be anonymous, and we work with our federal partners and other things. There's many things we could take a look at.
That's an important point, anonymous. You don't have to identify yourself.
There's a lot of circumstances where if you were a witness to a crime or you're part of a crime, two different things. But if you see suspicious activity or somebody loading multiple guns, doing other things, or possibly maiming animals and other things that have been alleged in some of these past incidents, you can remain anonymous. We can get a report done, and then we can start using our investigators, our special investigators, our federal partners to take an in-depth look at what's going on, and then do what we would call a threat assessment, and then potentially take action from there.
Who's going to be moderating the panel? And there will be questions taken from the audience, obviously.
Right. Superintendent Colorado will be on hand to monitor. We will be on the panel, so people like myself will be up there to make sure that the community has the information they need. And
for the symposium, as well as your ongoing work, is the Radnor Police Department working on or with guidelines that have come down from the federal government or the state government, or has Radnor developed its own protocols?
So Radnor Police, since the two recent shootings, will probably in 40 days train or meet almost 3,000 to 4,000 people in Radnor Township.
Really?
We're going to be training all the school district staff. We met with the entire high school. We have briefings coming with literally every private school and lockdown drills, all types of preventative stuff that the community wants to know what's going on. And they want to train. They don't want to just sell paranoia or fear. They want to do something about it. And I think that, again, is to the point of that resolve that is key. So we take the Department of Homeland Security Run, Hide, Fight video, and we adapt that video to several different components of pre-alert, trying to avoid the incident, to if you are involved in one of these incidents, which we pray and hope never happens, but how to react and what to do specifically to save your life and the lives of others.
Is that a problem, Chris, that attitude of it couldn't happen here? It happens other places, but it couldn't happen here.
I think that
Not
is
in
a
Radnor
concern.
Township.
I think it's a concern, and now we're going out and training. So just like a school should have fire drills that have proven we've reduced fire deaths and injuries because of many different reasons, but the same should go on with active shooter incidents. Doesn't mean one's going to happen in your entire, and I hope it doesn't, in your entire career all the way through high school. But if we train for it and you're better prepared and we increase the chances of survivability, then we are doing our job. And we are taking that charge very seriously.
What influence does Radnor Police, what influence do you have over security companies that provide security for schools and hospitals and so on, they obviously have to be trained as well. Do you take the lead in training them, or is it the responsibility of the vendor, the company?
The answer is it's both. If it's a private vendor, then they have their own level of professionalism, but we partner with them. It's not just, they have their own security. We work hand in hand with private security, school district security, private schools, public schools. We actually are going to a large business complex for the first time ever. A bunch of smaller businesses in one complex want us to train. We're doing 2 training dates for them as well. So we work with everybody, and it's important to have both. And it's important to have relationships with your community police, no matter what kind of security you have.
The trainers are exclusively Radnor Police, or do you bring other resources as well for the training programs you put on?
To keep it efficient and quick, it is currently only Radnor Police.
I mentioned earlier that it seems to me that vigilance is the single most important responsibility we all have. What component of the training is devoted to vigilance? What people should do? I know, and again, other sessions we've had, we've talked about burglaries and other crimes committed in the township, and there are certain things that can be done to make people aware. What's the other thing? Town Watch, and of course your Citizens Police Academy. All of that, I guess, figures into this. Are the graduates of the Citizens Police Academy trained especially for response to situations like this?
They're not trained to handle an active shooter, obviously, but they are trained in our philosophy and basically that See Something, Say Something campaign that the federal government really strongly supports and wants to educate the community. And specifically, when we went to the high school, we taught the students how to see something, say something, and we promoted why it's so important because they have access to things that other adults don't, things in the school, hangout spots, other information, multiple social media accounts that they have that they're able to access. So we need everybody to take this job seriously, not just the adults.
Okay. How have you made it relatively easy for someone to report something suspicious? Is there a single telephone
So Radnor
number?
Township, well, one, there's 911 always.
Yes.
We would prefer that people jump on it as soon as possible. However, if that is not what's going to happen, Radnor Township has a confidential detective line, which is listed on our website. And we also have a confidential email so that you have multiple means to communicate with us and get the police aware of it. And obviously we monitor those 24/7 should something come in. It has worked. Our tip lines have worked for other incidents, and that's very important. It could work from simple people running stop signs to drug sales to incidents like this, a suspicious activity that the police should investigate.
But does that one call activate the entire response team, or just the police, or fire and
So that would activate
medical and so on?
That goes to the Radnor Township supervisor of the day, and based on the circumstances, how much we would gear up would come to one of the command staff members. We may pull in all kinds of partners, or it may be something simple that we can handle, within our township building.
Without disclosing more than you should, can you share with us what kinds of deterrents the Radnor Police have already put in place or will be putting in place to protect against the threat of some kind of violence in a school, a church, or any public gathering?
So we specifically, one of the cornerstones is to make sure that our people are trained, and not just by PowerPoint. By the end of next week, our entire staff will have gone through a 4-hour active shooter block where we
You go through simulations?
So we actually teamed up with Lower Merion Police. So we're also training with other agencies. You can't just have a bubble over yourself. Obviously, the FBI and other people send out training, and we host some of those training classes here at Radnor or attend in person ourselves. So our federal agents have a lot of resources as well. And then we have roll call, and then probably by the summertime, we will again have some high-end tactical training for our people, our frontline officers. Radnor has officers that participate in SWAT teams. So we have front-hand knowledge. We have 2 bomb-sniffing canines. So those officers remain cutting edge on what the current issues are, and they're a part of our system. So that if we have a problem in a school, even if it costs overtime, those canines are brought back and are able to be used for prevention and proactivity. We participate with Amtrak. They have some confidential days where we go out and inspect different things and have a proactive approach. So we partner with all of those, and then another huge component of this is getting out and talking to the community, and as I already mentioned, we're fully engaged in that. The biggest amount of requests we've ever had, I believe, in the history of our organization.
It sure sounds that way. If I'm a pastor of a large congregation, and I would like you folks to come out and make a presentation to maybe our staff or the entire congregation, is that something you can do? Because it seems to me you're going to be stretched, the department.
Well, what I would say is the Board of Commissioners, Bob Zinkowski, our Township Manager, and Superintendent Colorado, it doesn't matter that we're stretched. We need to make this happen for the community, because this is helping thwart, in my opinion, a possible attack. By getting this word out and people taking it seriously, we have to hit while the iron's hot, make sure that while people want to do something, that we train them and they're prepared to make these decisions and activate an emergency response once they come across something.
Will the symposium be repeated?
It depends. We'll see, what kind of attendance. I know that we are going to video it, so it can be rebroadcast, because obviously not everybody can make it on a particular day due to many wonderful reasons. But we will do it, and if there's a request to do it again, we will do it again.
And I know Radnor Studio 21 is planning to videotape it as well to put it on our air.
That's great.
So we'll have that much more exposure. Are there existing videos that are available to residents, either through the Township website or the police department, that we can just watch?
Yes. We'll post it again on the web. We have had the Run, Hide, Fight video. If you type in Run, Hide, Fight, it will come up. It's a free video. I believe it's 5 minutes and 34 seconds long, and you can instantly train. When we go to this training with adults and teachers, I say, please share it with your family, friends, and neighbors, because it prepares you to take action. Other things, never underestimate what we already have in our toolbox, such as CPR training and other things. We want to be as proactive as a community as we can. There's a new, we just sent some officers for training. There's a new campaign that we'll be also supporting, which is Stop the Bleed. So we want to stop people from having issues or dying if they were in one of these active shooter incidents, or let's just say they fell off a swing and they're cut in a femoral artery. We want to make sure that we're able to take care of those respective injuries. But the community can do that. We can stop people from dying by doing some simple and easy training.
Policing ain't what it used to be, is it?
It's very complex.
Yeah.
It is very complex, and the issues are complex as well.
You mentioned mental health, behavioral health earlier. Again, what special emphasis is being placed on being aware of and being helpful to people who may display some erratic behavior?
So I think it is a major issue in the country.
Yes.
I think it's a major issue. We have people who we're coming in contact now who are having trouble, and they need professional, medical assistance. And we have tools that are easily used in some cases, but it's the ones that we're walking the line. Is this person really okay or not okay? And I think that that's one of the bigger issues that'll have to be decided by our government and mental health professionals. But we want to, if we don't know somebody's having a problem, we want to be able to start dealing with it earlier than later. And the police are able to offer families immediate and free emergency resources and long-term resources, whether they have insurance or not. And that's a whole complexity in itself. So that's why we want you to call 911. That's why we want you to tell us what's going on.
There are free resources available for people with mental or emotional problems?
Yes. And if somebody's having a full breakdown, for example, we will take you and we get you an emergency evaluation known as a 302 evaluation, and we can get that person where they meet instantly mental health professionals. So, as you know, not every emergency happens Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and we're able to access these mental health professionals 24/7, holidays and
And that's a resource in the township, or is it coming
it's part of the county. It's part of us being connected with the county. So Fitzgerald Mercy is one of our first stops for emergency resources. We do take people voluntarily to Bryn Mawr Hospital, which has a psychiatric unit. So we do have these tools. There's counseling, just like for domestic abuse situations and other things. There's 24-hour resources that we can utilize and help families so they're not sitting there. And if somebody's having a mental health emergency on a Saturday or on a holiday, I don't want you to wait to call your normal doctor, Tuesday after the holiday's over. Please call us so we can help intervene.
Are the schools, so far as you know, are the schools increasing the number of counselors they have?
So I can't state whether they're increasing the number of counselors, but what I can say is I know that the Radnor School District and several of our private schools are doing everything they can to reevaluate safety and security procedures. They're really looking at if they have a problem or a mental health issue, what's best practices for that. So I know that they are on top of that, but I'll let them speak to specifically the details of what they're doing.
This may not be a fair question, and if it isn't, tell me, but what's your feeling about arming teachers on a voluntary basis?
So from my professional side is that I believe that if you're going to utilize or have a weapon, you need to have very specific training. And it's not just about how the gun operates. Police officers take hundreds of hours of training on shoot, don't shoot scenarios. What are the ballistics of the weapon? What are the penetration capabilities of the round of ammo that you're having? And so in other words, is it going to go through 3 walls if I miss? These are the type of things that are critical to know and fully understand. So what I would say is that if a school district in Radnor, we support their decision to have professional security or even better, professional law enforcement on site. Let the teachers teach and let people who are only dedicated to safety and security handle it. I'm not saying that the teachers can't. I just think there's so many things that are going to go on at a school if there was an active shooter that the teacher's responsibility is going to be drawn to that classroom. And engaging somebody may cause more of a problem. So we are for security, armed. We are for police officers, school resource officers. We're hugely in support of that concept and program that puts cops inside the schools, working on issues, meeting kids, and building rapport. It's not just to be there for an active shooter. There's several other things that go along with a school resource officer.
These are police officers in the school?
Correct.
From the ranks of
So
Radnor?
These are programs being discussed. There's a pretty big debate on whether teachers should be armed.
Yes.
And our position is, for right now, in Radnor Township, we recommend professional security or law enforcement. I want to be very specific. We think that there'll be too many jobs put on a teacher who's already stretched thin in a very important job, and that's what we think they should do.
Does a school have at its complete discretion a decision to put officers, tighten security, take certain measures, or does the police department, in this case, require a school to take at least some minimal preventive measures? Is there? Can you impose a requirement?
We do not have a requirement.
You do not.
Right. We can't impose security measures or other things on the schools. They whether public or private, they're their own entity. They have their own board, and they have to follow the respective rules, guidelines.
Okay. And I know I'm going far afield here, but I'm wondering, an insurance company might very well say to a school, in order for us to cover you for all of these possibilities, you've got to do at least these minimum things to prevent and, if necessary, deal with a threat. I know that's not your area, but it seems to me there should be more than just leaving it up to them to decide what they're going to do, whether they're going to do, how much they're going to do. Regrettably, it costs money to do everything you're talking about. And it is an imposition on a number of people. If a school says it's going to be one door in and out, that creates all kinds of problems, I would think, for the day-to-day operation of the school.
One of the things that we really want to promote is a culture of safety in whatever building or school you are in, or church. It is very important to spend time and take it seriously. We're all busy. We're all doing multitasking, getting a cup of coffee, picking up the laundry, trying to get to work, home for dinner. We do have to sell and buy in security. Simple measures of security, not running around, hiding behind bushes, but just saying if we have a locked door policy, we have to really stick with that. and ask the person to go check in, get a visitor badge,
Yes.
doing all these types of things that should be done, locking our buildings, making sure our cars are locked, so that it just is a safer place just by paying respect for that culture of safety. So that is another thing that we'll promote, that, that parents, teachers, and schools
Yes.
really promote that culture of safety within their institutions.
But you know what happens better than I do. It's hard to maintain a high level, to sustain a high level of readiness over a long period of time, particularly, God willing, nothing happens. People tend to revert to their old ways. So I guess your responsibility and of others is to continue to remind people and help sustain the high level of readiness.
And just to do that, we stopped after Columbine. We started a school visit. We visit as many schools a day as possible, just to keep that culture of safety, keep the mindset of the teachers and administration and kids knowing that police are out there. Also, if there's somebody sizing up a school, you want to see randomly a police car arriving. So those steps remain in effect. They were in effect for years here in Radnor Township. We're proud of that relationship with the kids and the schools that were welcome. And we'll keep going.
Okay, to review on Wednesday, is it? April 18th.
Correct.
At 6:45 in the municipal building, Radnor Municipal Building, unless there's a larger crowd than that space can accommodate. There will be a program that will start at 6:45 and go for as long as necessary, featuring a panel of experts and questions from the audience about what can be done, how it should be done, and so on, in an effort to create awareness and to engage the entire community in developing a defense system against the possibility of violent intrusions in our schools and other public places. How do people register if you don't require registration? You'd like them to register though, right?
If they can, because we're mindful that we may have an overflow issue, which will move to a bigger venue. So we do ask that you register, but if all of a sudden your plans cancel 5 minutes before the meeting come, we'll figure it out. We'll get you in.
Okay. Go on the Township website to register?
Township website. We're emailed the flyers to every school. It's mailed and emailed so that they can disseminate it, and it'll be posted in some of the Wawas and the other high-volume places as well.
And Chris is going to be doing 30-second spots here at Radnor Studio 21, again, to make people aware of the date, the time, and the location for the symposium that is being put together for the benefit of the township, and most of all for our kids. So it's very, very important. As I said, I think this is probably the most important program that you and I have had at any rate. Thank you very much for coming, as always. Appreciate it.
A pleasure.
Again, if you'd like information about the symposium, April 18th, Wednesday, at the Municipal Building, take a look at Radnor Township's official website for details. Until next time, I am Rick Anthony. Take very good care of yourselves.
There are 3 things you could do that make a difference: run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important. You, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority.
Stop that guy! Stop that guy! Hey!
Once you are out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911. If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. As a last resort, if your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm him. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.